For the moms who raised us up, gave us hope, and made us strong. For the young moms who became moms sooner than expected and gave it all they had. For the single moms who had to figure out how to do this on their own. For those who never got called mom, but who cared for us all like a mom would. For the hurting moms who've loved and lost but never given up. For the praying moms who don't always know what to do, but always know who to talk to. For the working moms, the stay-home moms, the cooking moms, and the takeout moms. For taking care of us when you barely had enough time to take care of yourself. For teaching us how to walk and how to make a difference. For the late night snuggles and the early morning pancakes. For sitting with us after our first breakup. For lifting us up when others put us down. For the rides, the meals, the laundry, and the birthday parties. For the years, tears, laughter, and love. It's not enough, but we want to say thank you. Thank you for doing for us what we could never do for ourselves. We love you. We honor you. We remember you. We thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Come on.
Good morning,
Too.
Theo.
What
What do you say?
Happy what?
What's your line?
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah! Woohoo! Wait for your sister. Don't snack her.
Look it.
What do you-
Happy
Happy Mother's Day! Yay!
Good morning. Thank you for joining us, and happy Mother's Day.
Yes, happy Mother's Day. On this day, we just first wanted to point out that we understand on this day that there are a wide variety of emotions that people feel when people think of the word mother or the thought of motherhood. It brings all different emotions because of all the different life experiences you have been through as it pertains to mothers or motherhood. And so we first want to start out by saying we are sensitive to that. We know that this day isn't always easy for everyone. But in the same breath, I also want to say it is appropriate for us to take some time to honor and to celebrate mothers. And so we are going to start off our service by doing just that.
You all helped us out this week. We posed a question on social media and through an email, and we asked you, what is something your mother has taught you? So we're going to take a moment and just read some of your answers that you gave us.
To serve others and pray. To be the best you can be, always be faithful and true. A quote that is a fantastic quote at this time is that this too will pass. And don't sweat the small stuff, especially when your kid is crying in the background of a video.
One person said that her mother taught her to be self-sufficient, strong, and kind. That their mother taught them how to have a good work ethic, how to cook, and how to have unconditional and sometimes even tough love. This one is one of my favorite answers. It says, Mom taught me that as long as people are comfortable and fed, that your event will be a hit. And then this person says that my mom taught me to work hard and to stand up for myself.
My mom taught me to cherish family, to love unconditionally, to work hard, to be wise with money, and to be kind no matter what the circumstances. Another said how to have fun with my children. My mom was always doing clever things with us. To always have open arms because you never know when you need to be the strong one to hold and hug someone. Stay strong in the tough times because the tough times will come. There is always room for one more at the table.
To love Jesus, to take time for family, and that experiences are always better than more stuff. This person says to love your family fiercely, to ride the waves of life with grace, to never give up, and to do your best and you will be rewarded. To love Jesus and to love Jesus like a child.
In my life, my mom definitely taught us how to find joy in the smallest of things. She would take any simple situation and make it super fun and super exciting.
One thing that my mom taught me and valued was that the house didn't always have to be a museum, but that she valued the mess, because the mess was signs and proof that fun things and memories were being made. So that is something that we are definitely leaning into right now, and through this time.
Keep quoting that.
Enjoying this time, enjoying the mess, enjoying making memories, and not worrying about whether or not our house looks perfect.
So as Brandon goes and checks on the well-being of our children right now, I'm going to continue. So we just talked about how mothers have taught us so many different things in life. But one thing that I have realized as being a mom is that motherhood has taught me as well. And was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday I was talking with some of my other mom friends, and we were discussing this whole unique journey of motherhood and what it has taught us. And so I wanted to share a little bit of reflecting that we had yesterday, just in motherhood and what we've learned. And so a couple of the answers were patience and self-sacrifice, also learning to manage your expectations, because if any of you have ever been around young children, you know that you may go into a situation with these fantastic expectations, but with kids, everything is unpredictable, and so sometimes your expectations are shattered. And so learning to manage those and cope when things don't work out as you expected. Lastly, awareness. Awareness of maybe your own fears and vulnerabilities, and awareness of strengths and weaknesses. Motherhood really opens your eyes up to all different things. And so I'm going to read this last part. It says, I've become aware of the world around me. I had been overlooking things for years. Bugs, worms, butterflies, grass, dirt, etc. I love keeping an eye out for anything that might catch the eyes of my kids' interest, and in turn, it sparks my own curiosity. This person also said that it helps them, the awareness of their blood pressure. And so, yeah, motherhood has taught us so many things, and what I realize is that motherhood really gives you eyes to see the world differently. And so, as we head into this weekend, as we head into this day, we encourage you to honor all of those women who have shaped who you are, whether it be your mother or even someone who kind of played a mother-like role in your life. To take time and to honor those mothers and to celebrate them. And then for those moms out there, I encourage you to also pause and reflect and think about what you have learned and what God has taught you through this unique, crazy journey of motherhood. So with that being said, happy Mother's Day to you all. We are so glad that you guys have joined us this morning. And let's just worship together and continue in this service with open hearts as to what God has to say to us today.
I can face tomorrow because He lives. All fear is gone because I know He holds the future, and life is worth the living just because He lives. How sweet to hold a newborn baby and feel the pride and joy He brings, but greater still, the calm assurance this child can face uncertain days because He lives. Because He lives, I can face tomorrow because He lives. All fear is gone because I know He holds the future, and life is worth the living just because He lives. And then one day I'll cross the river and fight life's final war with pain. And then as death gives way to victory, I'll see the light of glory, and I'll know He reigns because He lives. I can face tomorrow because He lives. All fear is gone because I know He holds the future, and life is worth the living just because He lives. And life is worth the living just because He lives.
Good morning, church family. And to those moms watching this morning, I want to say a very special Mother's Day to you. I hope that this is just an awesome day in your life. This week I was looking at a website where moms were sharing their favorite memories of their mothers, and I read a memory from Beth in the Kalamazoo area, and she wrote this. She said, "Coming home from work one day, as I approached the front door, I looked in to see my mom dancing to Robert Palmer's Addicted to Love. She said, I watched enthralled as she moved and sang along, her hips twisted to the beat, big smile plastered on her face. It had been a long while since I'd seen her dance, so this display of pure joy was infectious." She went on to write to say, "Shortly after this, my mom unexpectedly went to heaven. I have many memories of her that will always cherish, but none quite as happy and as carefree as the day I watched her dance." So this morning, I want to talk to us as a church about having an uncommon purpose. And to set the stage for this, I've got a couple questions for you. The first question is just a fun question that you can talk to your family about or maybe talk to a friend about. The first question is this: what makes you dance? What makes you happy? What makes you laugh? What makes you sing? Now, here's a little bit of homework for this week ahead that I'm hoping you will enjoy. Stop and think about what makes you dance, what makes you happy, what makes you laugh, what makes you sing, and talk to a friend about it, and then do it. I mean, we all are at a point right now where we need to dance, even if we can't dance. We need to dance, laugh, and sing. But the second question I have for us this morning is kind of a heavy question and a deep question, but a very relevant question. And here's the question. If you could ask for anything, what would you ask for? This second question is a question that God actually asked King Solomon. The king was asked by God that very question, what do you want? 1 Kings 3:5 basically says, God said to King Solomon, ask for anything you want, and I will give it to you. And what King Solomon asked for was wisdom. Now, King Solomon took this wisdom that God gave him, and we understand Solomon to be the wisest person who ever lived, but he took this wisdom and he spent it foolishly over the course of his lifetime to get more wealth. And then with the wealth he had, he actually went and spent it on more wine and more women. And it was the hope of Solomon that a combination of wisdom that gained him wealth, that gained him wine and women would actually bring him happiness. But sadly, as you read through the book of Ecclesiastes, you see that these things didn't bring Solomon happiness at all. And yet even today, we seem to live our lives as thrill seekers, and some more thrill seeking than others. Thinking about this, I remembered a clip I saw quite a while back about some cliff jumpers in Switzerland. And I'm going to play this just over my shoulder here. You can see this crazy, I don't know if you call it a sport, it's definitely these guys thrill seeking. I think something went like, one of them said, let's jump out of an airplane. And so they jumped out of an airplane a few times, and that wasn't enough of a thrill. So they designed or they purchased a wingsuit, and now they jump off of a cliff. They do cliff diving, but in these wingsuits, and they're absolutely flying. It looks like the thrill of a lifetime. And I remember watching this for the first time, thinking to myself, if I didn't have a family, and if I didn't have responsibilities, and if I didn't have a brain, I would try this. But here's the question I asked. Once these guys land on their feet and the thrill is over, what will make them happy? And that's kind of something that we've all seen, not to this extreme, but we've all seen the point where ourselves, our family member, our friends have sought thrills out in life. And once the thrill is over, they still feel unfulfilled. You see, Solomon had it all. He tried it all, he did it all, and at the very end of his life, he reached this simple conclusion. Meaningless, meaningless, utterly meaningless, everything is meaningless. In fact, 38 times in the book of Ecclesiastes, you will find the word used, meaningless. In the Hebrew word, it's pronounced habel. And the Hebrew word for meaningless means empty or futile or a vapor that is there 1 minute and gone the next. But Solomon doesn't stop there. Let me read you a little bit of what Solomon goes on to say in Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Solomon says, "What does a man gain from all his labor at which he toils under the sun? Generations come and go, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun sets and hurries back to where it rises. The wind blows to the south and turns to the north. Round and round it goes, ever returning on its course. All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, they return again. All things are wearisome. More than one can say. The eye never has enough of seeing, nor does the ear have its fill of hearing. What has been will always be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which one can say, look, there's something new? It is here already. It was here already long ago. It was here before our time. There is no remembrance of men of old, and even those who are yet to come will not be remembered by those who follow." Wow, that is the definition of cynical. And Solomon is not alone. In our culture, we're surrounded by Solomons. Let me read you just a couple of modern day Habel empty statements. You may remember the sports great Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders, in his book Power, Money, and Sex, wrote and shared his testimony of how all of these things failed to bring meaning to his life. And this is what Deion Sanders writes as a testimony in his book. He says, "Everything I touched turned to gold, but inside I was broken and totally defeated. I remember sitting in the back of the practice field one afternoon, away from everybody, and tears were running down my face, and I was thinking, this is all so meaningless. I am so unhappy. We were winning every week. I'm playing great, but I am so unhappy. I tried everything, parties, expensive jewelry, and nothing helped. I had all the world had to offer, but no peace, no joy, no emptiness inside." Tiger Woods is arguably the greatest golf athlete of our time. Again, a person who was surrounded by wealth and fame. But Tiger Woods was actually quoted in The Weekly by saying this: "These days, there really isn't anything I can look forward to. I'm really good at playing video games. That's basically how I pass a lot of my time." Now, I could go on and on and on with stories of people who, according to what many of us consider success, have it all. But you get the point, okay? And here's the tragedy. We live in a culture that has followed Solomon's footsteps and emotionally lives by this very simple paradigm. The paradigm is this: when blank happens, I'll be happy. And we try to convince ourselves of this. You know, when I finally get that job I've always wanted, I'll be happy. When I finally get that degree, I'll be happy. When I have that relationship that I want, I'll be happy. When my bank account gets to a certain level, I'll be happy. Or I buy this house, or I buy this car, or I marry this kind of person, okay? And we have allowed this to be kind of a false motivation for our lives. And most of us, if we're honest, would admit that none of these things have really led us to happiness. It leads really to greater forms of emptiness. And when a person lives an empty life, the Bible describes that state of being with one word, and the word is lost. So whether you have been emotionally, spiritually, or relationally lost, most of us would admit that at some point in our life, we've been lost. So for Solomon, the saving grace in his life is that he came to the point in his life where he stopped everything and he assessed where he was at, and he basically asked this very healthy question, how did I get here? And he's looking at the entirety of his life and he's thinking, the wisdom God gave me led to wealth, and that led to wine, and that led to women. And in chapter 11 of the book of Ecclesiastes, he says, it's meaningless, it's meaningless. Then we come to chapter 12, and he comes to this correction in his life. Ecclesiastes 12:1 is his correction verse. Honor and enjoy your Creator while you're still young, before the years take their toll and your vigor wanes. Now, I want to highlight these words for us. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth. And I want to highlight specifically one word, the word youth. Now, you don't feel young right now, but you are. So let me try to build my case for this. Everyone who's listening to this message this morning is relatively young. Okay? Matter of fact, in comparison to eternity, we're all infants. In comparison to eternity that we will occupy forever, we are all very young. But I know this. If you or I give our lives to something that is meaningless, we will feel old. And it will make us feel old quickly. But if we give our lives to what Solomon says, to enjoying and honoring our Creator, give our lives to purpose, then we will feel young. Now, thankfully, Solomon comes to the very end of his life, and he's able to sort all of this out, and he shares right thinking with us in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verses 13 and 14. Don't miss this. This is direction for life and for our lives from the wisest person who ever lived. Now, all that has been heard, here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commands, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or whether it is evil. So Solomon says, I can tell you a lot of things at the end of my life. Most of all, here's the purpose of life. Fear God. Keep his commands. So to the common question of when blank happens, I'll be happy. What does Solomon say? Solomon says, well, when we obey God, we'll be happy. We will have everything our heart longs for. But when we don't obey God and when we pursue things like career, vocation, cars, houses, toys, clothes in the closet, he says that will end up being a meaningless pursuit. Here today and gone tomorrow. But Solomon says, if I want to be truly happy, it comes from obeying my Creator. Now, you might be asking, what does it mean to obey God? Jesus was asked this very question, and he summed it up in two directives. He said this, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, thy mind, thy soul, and thy strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. Very simply, love God, love people. And the question is, could it really be that easy? And the answer is yes, it's that easy, and yet it's that powerful. Do you want to be happy? Do two things. Daily, repeatedly, joyfully, go love God. Okay? Daily, repeatedly, joyfully, go love people. You do those two things as your purpose in life. You'll feel young again. You want to change your life? Love God, love people. You want to change your relationships? Love God, love people. You want to change your attitude? Love God, love people. So I want to invite you to join me in living with an uncommon purpose. Loving God, loving people. You'll never regret it. God bless you, church. I pray you have a great week. I miss you much. We'll be together soon.